Once again, namaskar to everybody, and most welcome to participate at our series of discourse on Srimad Bhagavad Gita, one of the best religious text in this world. And as we see around the world, that beyond the Hindu community, beyond of Indian boundary, people are taking a lot of interest to translate on Bhagavad Gita, writing books, and also giving lectures on the message of Bhagavad Gita in different way and modern way also I see. So we have completed the third chapter, which is known as the law of karma or the karma yoga. And today we'll be going to the chapter 4. So before I go to the chapter 4, let's me complete or finish our prayer to the rishis and munis. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim chaiva tato jayo mudiraye vyasaya vishnurupaya Vyasarupaya Vishnave Namaha Vai Brahma Vidhaya Vasishtaya Namo Namaha Shankaram Shankaracharyam Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badurayanam Sutra Bhashya Krito Vande Bhagavanto Punaha Punaha Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmat Acharya Pariyantam Vande Guru Paramparam Vande Guru Paramparam Vande Guru Paramparam Om Namaha Sri Bhagavate Pranavaya. So we will be going to chapter 4 today. It will be a completely new chapter. And if you have books, you could open it. In this book, I have page number 297. Chaturtha Adhyaya, or the chapter 4, is being known as Jnana Yoga. Some people pronounce Jnana Yoga, the yoga of wisdom or yoga of knowledge. So you could see how Lord Krishna guiding Arjuna in his religious journey, in his spiritual journey, bit by bit in the upper level of his spiritual achievement. If you remember, in the beginning of the chapter, Arjuna was very sad and he was almost crying, and he was a symbol of despondency and melancholy, frustration and depression. And then we came to the chapter 2, it was a completely different picture. Chapter 2 gave us the immortal teachings of that deathless soul, also a brief idea of the law of action. And at the end of the chapter 2, we learn how we can recognize an enlightened soul. Then Lord Krishna took us to the law of karma. The seed you sow, so you reap the fruit. We are the representation of our own karma. We cannot blame nobody in this world. What we are today is the result of our past action. Past means this life. From our childhood days, we have thought this way, we pray this way, we dream this way. And also some of the reflection, if we believe, which Bhagavad Gita preaching, the reflection of our past life karma. So that we have completed is a very practical, very scientific. I mean, it's very difficult to deny, because the law of karma, the work you do must get the result. You do good work, must come good result. And if we do something which is not good, which is not sanctioned by the scriptures, we also will be reaping the fruit of our. So in this way, bit by bit, Lord Krishna taking Arjuna another level of spiritual life. So we also getting benefited from that teachings. And it was the motive of Lord Krishna to give these immortal teachings through Arjuna to this world. And so today, the Lord Krishna will be teaching Arjuna the yoga of wisdom, or Jnana Yoga or Gnana Yoga. So what is this yoga or wisdom? It's the pure knowledge. Devidde veditavve parachaiva aparacha. There are two kinds of knowledge in this world. One is the material knowledge, which we are always proud to introduce ourselves, that I have, I'm from Princeton University or Harvard University, I have PhD, this, that. These are the material things. This education help us to be recognized and prosper with the material world. But we are talking here today that another kind of education, another kind of knowledge, which will be taking us bit by bit, but surely at the lotus feet of the Lord. So we'll be completing our journey this way, with the materially prosperous. We achieve the materially, and also we can reach the Sri Charan Kamal of Lord Sri Hari, the lotus feet of the Lord. So let us begin our journey today at this evening from the very first sloka of the chapter 4. Look at the book, please. Lord Krishna opening this chapter by giving these teachings to Arjuna. He tells Arjuna, Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Imam Vivaswate Yogam Proktavan Aham Abhayam Vivaswan Manobe Praho Monuriksha Kave Bravi Om Namaha Sri Bhagavate Vasudevaya Sri Krishnaya Namo Namaha. So Lord Krishna opened this chapter. He continues to teach his most beloved student Arjuna. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha. So what we see here, that it's not like Rishi Uvacha, it's not like somebody teaching. It is Sri Bhagavan, that means the Lord himself teaching. And in this chapter, we will be learning two more important lessons of this Bhagavad Gita. You will see there as we move forward. So Lord Krishna tells Arjuna that what I'm teaching today, Imam Vivaswati. Vivaswan, one of the name of the sun god. I mean, those who practicing Hinduism, you know that Surya Narayan Bhagavan, or sun god, is one of the prominent god we worship. In the Rig Veda, in the Yajur Veda, you get hundreds of slokas glorifying the sun. And we all know the importance and the role of the sun in our life, day-to-day life. A sunny day, a bright day, we feel healthy, joyful, we feel like smiling, so happy. But in a gloomy day, when sun is being covered by the dark cloud, we feel gloomy, and we feel gloomy, and we also feel that way. We don't feel that kind of inspiration. So from the ancient time to today, the importance of the sun god in our life, I mean, you cannot compare that. But sun providing lots of things to our life, it helping to plant and eatable things to grow, and it helping to trees and plants to kind of live their life, because we all know that lives like a kitchen of a plant tree, and with the sunlight, kind of a tree survive. And even today, up to now, in modern day, those who practicing Hinduism, that we any kind of ritual we practice, like wedding ceremony or home entering ceremony, or any kind of puja we do. And when you invite to your home to conduct a puja, we do Panchadevata, 5 gods puja. Like the first is Lord Ganeshji, then we worship the sun god, the Surya Narayan Bhagavan, then we worship Lord Vishnu, then we go to the Lord Shiva, and God is Durga. So you could see that Surya Narayan or sun god is so important to our life. I mean, every morning we pray, Java Kusuma Sankasham Kashyapayang Mahadutim Dhantarim Sarva Papagnam Pranatasmi Divakaram Om Sri Surya Narayanaya Namo Namaha. Even if you attend a yoga class, modern day yoga class, if you go to a yoga studio, and you will see the yoga teacher teaching you the sun salutation, 12 postures. And every posture they teach you, and they recite one name of the sun god. So 12 name they recite, and we do 12 postures. So the another name of the sun god is Vivaswan. I mean, if you open the Rig Vedas or Yajur Vedas, you will see so much verses or slokas are there. Our ancient rishis glorifying the beauties of the sun god. So Lord Krishna say that in ancient time, first I taught these immortal lessons of Bhagavad Gita to sun god. Because the way we see sun in the morning time, if you look at the eastern side, if you are outside of the building, and you could see a big red plate coming out from the eastern side. When I was in South Africa, I was staying one home, and just the ocean is right there in the Durban, and morning time is so beautifully we could see the sun rising. It looked like from the ocean it coming out. So the way we see sun, but in the practice, the Bhagavad Gita tells there's an appearance of the sun god. A lot of spiritual seeker, they meditated on the sun god, and they achieved what they wanted. So Lord Krishna say that I taught these immortal teachings of Bhagavad Gita first to the sun god. So Imam Vivaswati Yogavan Praktavan Aham Abhayam. You see the last word, Abhayam, means immortal teachings. Something which is always was there, it is here, and it will be in this world again. Abhayam is like imperishable, indestructible, eternal, undying. So always will be there. Abhayam. Achinta Rupam Abhayam. So these teachings of the Bhagavad Gita is immortal, eternal, indestructible, and it's kind of always will be there. So Lord Krishna tells us that Arjuna, I taught it these eternal lessons to the sun god first. Vivaswan Monobe Praho. And then sun god taught his son Manu. And you know that Manu is one of the main, the lawgiver of we read a couple of verses in last discourse also, that Manu Smriti is the law, social law. So Manu is the giver of law, And here we see Lord Krishna say that Surya Narayan taught these immortal teachings to his son Manu. And Manu taught it to Ikshaku. And Ikshaku is being counted as the first king on this earth. So what we see that Lord Krishna wanted to tell Arjuna that these immortal teachings of the Bhagavad Gita is came generation after generation, from guru to disciple, from disciple to his disciple, and then it came down, or father to his son, and son to his son. This way, I mean, it coming hundreds of generation gone, thousands of generation gone, and we are still learning it, and then our next generation also will be studying. I mean, if you think those children are born in America, if you think that they are not going to read it, no. One day you will be surprised to see that they're going to the Google search, going to the YouTube, and they're listening all these things. But they will be explaining it in a little bit modern way. So what we see in this particular verse that Lord Krishna said, this immortal teachings was taught to the Lord by to son, son got taught to his son Manu, Manu taught to Ikshaku, and Ikshaku was the first king on this earth. So we see that if you see the meaning, the Lord said, first I taught this imperishable yoga of wisdom to the son. Then the son delivered it to his son Manu, and Manu imparted it to Ikshaku. So this way it came. And I will be taking to the verse number 3 to you. I will be skipping the verse number 2. And so if you look at the verse number 3, and you could join with me in recitation. Sa ebayang maya tedya Yogaha praktaha puratanaha Bhakta shime shakha cheti Rahasyam hitaduttamam Om Namaha Sri Bhagavate Vasudevaya Sri Krishnaya Namo Namaha. Lord Krishna tells that because long time these immortal teachings of yoga known by the saintly king, because of the long lapse of time, it was being lost. It did not die, but it was lost. Ebong parampara praptam rajarshaya viduhu sakaleneho mahata yogoho nashto parantapa. O Parantapa Arjuna, O subjugator of your enemies, O Arjuna, it is because of the long lapse of time, this immortal teachings of the Bhagavad Gita was lost in this world. And in the verse number 3, Lord Krishna says, Sa evo ayam tedya, yogoho prakto puratanaha. Arjuna, Lord Krishna say, Arjuna, you are my friend and devotee. For this reason, I taught the same ancient lessons of yoga to you. Know that it is very sacred, highly confidential. So what do you say? Sa evam, that immortal teachings of Bhagavad Gita, sa evayam maya tedya, te adya. I'm teaching you today. Yogaha proktu puratanaha is very ancient lessons. So we could see that we're living in a modern age in the 2020, very modern age. You know, the world went so fast is ahead. But these teachings was given almost 5 to maybe 6,000 years ago at the battleground of Kurukshetra. The time changes, thing changes. The new generation of people living in this world now, our way of thinking, our way of living, our way of the understanding is also being changed. But what did not change? What is truth is truth. What is truth? Truth remains the same. Maybe the the way we serving the same truth is different. Maybe the word we are using maybe is different. Maybe the environment is different, but we serving the same food, spiritual food, in a different way. So I'm teaching you the same old lesson, ancient lesson to you. Why I'm teaching you? Why you? Because there are so many people, pious people, holy people, wise people living in this world. Even at the time of Arjuna, there was so much saint, holy men, rishis, munis, famous people, pious people, those who practiced righteousness and truth to their life. Lord Krishna could have choose one of them, while Arjuna was chosen specially by the Lord Krishna to teach these immortal lessons of Bhagavad Gita. If you see the chapter 3, the verse number 3 of the second line is clarified by the Lord that why Lord Krishna chose Arjuna to impart this immortal lesson. Bhakto Shime, because you are my Bhakta. Now, who is a devotee? And what are the signs of the devotion? That we discuss elaborately in our Bhakti Sutra class, the Naradiya Bhakti Sutra. Those who participated those discourses, you know that what are the sign of a Bhakta, true devotee. Because Sraddhavan labhate jnanam tatparaha samjatendriyaha. Sraddhavan, first we need humbleness, we need humility, we need respect, deepest respect to our teacher. With the Guru-Shishya relation, the relation between a teacher and his disciple is eternal, inseparable. It is kind of very, very pure, very sacred relation. Because the Guru give everything, whatever he earned with his knowledge, spirituality, everything, he impart to his disciples. And the best example of that is Thakur Sri Ramakrishna Paramahansa and Swami Vivekananda. And that is Swami Pranavananda, Acharya Swami Pranavananda to Pujya Swami Satchidananda Ji Maharaj was picturized in the office room. I cannot show you, but when you visit the office room in the Bharat Sevashram New Jersey Ashram, if you see the office, you will see a beautiful picture of the first disciple of Swami Pranavananda Ji. We call him Pujya Sisi Badu Swami Ji Maharaj, our Gurudev Pujya Swami Satchidananda Ji Maharaj. So the Guru give everything to his disciple and then they distribute among the people. So because Arjuna was a devotee of the Lord Krishna, he loved Lord Krishna. Without Krishna, Arjuna was nothing. You could imagine Kurukshetra battleground is like, it's like a tornado, whirlpool. If the Lord Krishna was not there at the seat of driver of the chariot of Arjuna, it would be very difficult for him to win the opposition, because the Lord Krishna took him right time at the right place so that one day Arjuna could be the winner of that battle. So Lord Krishna said, Arjuna, I teach you, I'm imparting this lesson to you because you are my Bhakta Shime, Shakha. What is Shakha? Is the friend. Oh, it's so beautiful. We had a 7 days discourse on Srimad Bhagavat Mahapuran recently from 31st August to 6th of September. And the commentator who was commenting on the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, the speaker, he explained about the 7 way of the worshipping the Lord. If you remember, Sagunam Kirtanam, that those 7 types of devotion. And one of that 9 types or 7 types or 9 or 7 types of devotion, one is there, we can worship the Lord by thinking He's our friend. Practically, if you think that God is the creator of this world, God is the Almighty Lord, Sarva Shaktiman, all-powerful Lord. God is the source of this world. We came out from Him, and one day we will be going back to Him too. He is the final destination, final goal of every individual being. He is the goal of life. Brahmo Tallakshma Muchyate. Brahman, or the Supreme, or the God, or the Lord, or Sri Bhagavan is the goal of life. That almighty, all-pervading, that omniscient, omnipresent, that Lord, we can worship Him as our Shakha, as our friend. The best example is Krishna and Arjuna. Why Arjuna and Krishna was so much bounded with this relation of friendship? Because in the book we read, he is your true friend who remain till the last day as your body burned to ashes. He's there as your happiness, as your sorrow time, your up, down, prosperous time, or the when you lost everything in life, your friend never leave you. But usually when we are prosperous, we are healthy, happy, you have lots of money, you'll see friends are there like bees around you. When you lose your the fortune, what you see, all the bees are gone. Those are not a real friend. Devotees, please don't think that all the people around you is always your friend. He's a friend who will never leave you at the time of danger, at the time of difficulties, at the time of downfall, at the time when you did a mistake in life, or you are great danger. A friend will never leave you. A true friend will never leave you. So Krishna was that kind of friendship. Lord Krishna, so we can, this is one of the very beautiful teachings that we can worship that Almighty Lord as our friend too, as our dost, that our bandhu, that He our eternal friend. He hold our hand, He hold my hand. I'm telling my hand because, I'm giving so much example. I'm giving one example that, we are the disciple of Swami Acharya Swami Pranavananda Ji Maharaj, whose picture you could see behind me, that beautiful, powerful picture. And Acharya Swami Pranavananda Ji Maharaj, Mahajogi, spotless character, spotless. There is no one spot in his cloth, in his saffron cloth. And if you read his life from his childhood days to the day he left this mortal world, and you will be shocked to know his spiritual practices, his love for the mankind, his dedication, he took so much of pain to uplift people. He built an organization, created so many monks, and millions of people have benefited from it teaching. Just if we learn one lesson of Acharya Swami Pranavananda Ji, that one lesson is telling what are the friend of your life. परम मित्र क्या है? What are the real friends? Uddam, encouragement, inspiration. You show your interest. You show your positiveness in life. You never allow any kind of negative kind of thing whatsoever come in your life. When people come around you, even the person coming very sad, broken-hearted, look gloomy, when that person come near to you, get inspiration, get new hope of life. Guruji say, Udyam, Utsaho, encouragement. Uddam, Utsaho, Udhyavashay, and you don't give up. Till you reach your goal, you have a dream in your life. If I have a dream in my life to achieve, if you have a dream in your life to achieve, in this time, never give up till you reach your goal. Never stop till you reach the goal, final goal. So you could see one message of Guruji, Acharya Swami Pranavananda Ji Maharaj. If we obey one lesson, that alone will be giving us so much happiness and joy and so much achievement and prosperity of life. So that is why Lord Krishna himself telling Arjuna, I'm teaching you this lesson because you are my bhakta, you are my devotee. And then Shakha Chaiti, and you are my friend also. So it's such a wonderful things to think over, that Bhagavan himself sitting at the chariot of Arjuna at the most difficult period of his life, most critical time of his life, and most needed time of his life. So Lord Krishna standing there and telling Arjuna, do not worry, I'm here to help you. I'm your friend. So Bhaktoshi Shakha Cheti Rahasham Hitaduttamam. And the lessons I'm going to teach you, Rahasya. Rahasya means very mysterious, very confidential, very secret, because everybody will not be able to take these lessons. It needs lots of preparation. Soil need to prepare before you put the seed. Soil, this human body is compared with soil, barren land. If you plow this land, if we, like Guru Diksha, we call Guru Diksha. Guru Diksha is nothing, planting a seed. Guru gave a mantra, small name of the Lord. And then we keep chanting and chanting and chanting and repeating, like you churning this thing. And then one day you are surprised to see that you change so much in your life. You already changed and you already walk a long path in your life. So it is indeed is a very beautiful words Lord Krishna say. The Lord Krishna teaching that most ancient and sacred and secret knowledge to Arjuna, because Arjuna was a devotee of the Lord and Arjuna also was a friend of the Lord. It's so nice to think over. And I was giving some of the example of the Swami Pranavanandaji, because we are the monk living in this monastery. It has been long time. Many of the monks spend their whole life, and we could see, because the Bhagavad Gita you are reading in the book, but if I give you some practical example, you see that is happening. And so much dangers, difficulties coming. You think about now, what is going on all around the world. People are shaking. People are talking that September, October could be a very difficult time. They're talking, they're shaking, they're getting prepared for that. But I'm telling you today at this, the holding Bhagavad Gita in my hand. I'm a monk. I live in a monastery for whole life. And I'm telling you, please do not worry. That God is there. If you just smaranam kirtanam, think of the Lord. Do not give up the Lord. It is God will be holding your hand and will be taking you out of danger. I am 100% sure. There's no doubt about it. But our duty to smaranam kirtanam, to think of the Lord, that He is there, He is with me, He is my friend, He is my holding my hand to take me to the other shore of life. I'm not alone in this world. He's always there with me. He's my right side, left side, He's my front side, He's my back side, He's above and the below. All over like a spinning wheel, Sudarshan Chakra, He's protecting me. And as soon as you can feel this positive thought, if you can think this positive thought, you will be feeling healthy, happy, that fear will be gone from your mind. You'll be able to act and do things in a very normal way, the ways to do before February or before March. And you'll also, all the fear, all the negative kind of things we have in our head, that also will be going away. And you'll feel much more happy. But unfortunately, the danger coming, die before the danger comes. So in this verse, we very beautiful things we learn from the Lord Krishna. I'll be taking you to the verse number 4 of chapter 4. Arjuna uvacha aparang bhavata janama param janama vivasvata aparam bhavata janama param janama vivasvata kathametat bijaniyam kathametat bijaniyam tvamado praktavanite aparang bhavata janama. Om Namah Shri Bhagavati Vasudevaya Shri Krishnaya Namo Namaha. Verse number 4. Arjuna Uvacha. We know that Srimad Bhagavad Gita is a dialogue between Sri Krishna and Arjuna. It's a discourse, it's a talk between Guru and his disciples, teachers and his student. So when Lord Krishna mentioned to Arjuna that I taught this lesson to Surya Narayan Bhagavan, ancient time, so the question was coming to the mind of the Arjuna. He was a little bit confused also. So that's why he's asking question to his teacher. And this is one of the uniqueness of the Bhagavad Gita, because the students have enough room to make an inquiry. If you have any doubt, if you have any duality, if you think that you did not understand the thing properly, so you're getting an opportunity to ask the teacher to explain to you in a better way so that it could be easy to understand. You know that I remember first time when I completed my high school. So I went to the first day at our college. So geography professor came, and he came. There was almost 70 students in my class. I remember the very first day, college day, and he came, and we received him standing in the classroom. And then he came 1 hour. He lectured 1 hour exactly after he got. So there was no talks, nothing, and we could not understand properly because the way he was speaking. So, but here what we see that teacher teaching, but the student getting an opportunity to request the teacher, can you please, oh sir, can you please explain to me this thing properly so that I could understand it properly. So what Arjuna said here, if you see the meaning of the verse number 4, Arjuna said, "O Krishna, you are born in a much later period of time, and the sun was born before of you. How then I can understand that you had imparted these immortal teachings of yoga to the sun in ancient time?" So, if you remember the first verse, Arjuna was taught by Lord that I teach these immortal lessons of Bhagavad Gita to the sun god ancient time. But Krishna was born at the time of Arjuna. Both were in the same age group, and that's how they become friends. So now Arjuna asking the Lord, you born in a much later time. You are my age. Aparam bhavata janma. Param janma vivasvata. But the sun is in the sky from the very beginning, very dawn of this civilization. It's very old story of the sun giving light to this world. Katham etad vijaniyam. How can I understand? Tam adu proktavaniti. You taught this lesson to the sun god. So, sir, or the Lord, can you please explain to me? Because I don't understand. You born in my time. You and me in the same group, same age group. And you live in Dwarka. I live in the Hastinapur. How can I understand that you taught this lesson to the son, and also you're telling that you taught it very old time. So that was the question of the Arjuna. And I'm sure that this question came to our mind also, because when I was reading the first verse, I'm sure you also was thinking that what Swamiji explaining from the Bhagavad Gita, that Lord Krishna came in the Mathura or Vrindavan. He was born in Mathura, in the prison of the prison cell of the Mathura, and then he was transferred to Vrindavan the same night, and he stayed there around up to 12 years of age. Then he moved forward to Mathura. Then he went all the way to the western part of India, to Gujarat, to Dwarka. And then from Dwarka, he traveled all the way to Haryana state, to near to Delhi, to Kurukshetra battleground, where he was teaching this immortal teachings of Bhagavad Gita. So how Krishna could teach it? Is a kind of story, like what you call the mythological story or mythological story? So I'm sure this kind of word was coming to your mind also. Here is the answer. And this is one of the fundamental principle of the Bhagavad Gita, or the philosophy of the Bhagavad Gita. And I'm taking you to verse number 5. This couple of verses now will be very important, and it will establish something new to our life, because we'll be understanding that the darshana or the philosophy of the Bhagavad Gita. What Arjuna, what Lord answer to Arjuna, that we'll be learning from this verse number 5 and next couple of verses. If you look at the verse number 5 of chapter 4. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Bohuni me vyatitani janmani tavo charjuna Bohuni me vyatitani janmani tavo charjuna Tanyahang Veda Sarvani Tanyahang Veda Sarvani No Twang Veda Parantapa Namo Sri Bhagavati Vasudevaya Sri Krishnaya Namo Namaha. Very beautiful verse. Verse number 5. Sri Bhagavan Uvacho Bahuni me Vyatitani Janmani Tavucharjuna Tanyahang Vedu Sarvani Nathwang Vedu Parantapa. The Lord said, O Arjuna, both you and I have passed through many births. I know all about it. O Arjuna, the defeater of your enemies, you are not aware of these many births. Sri Bhagavan replying, God himself replying to his student. Bahuni, this is also one of the fundamental principles of the teachings of Bhagavad Gita, the philosophy of rebirth. The philosophy of the rebirth. And this is the big difference between the other faiths and the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita. Because if you see all around the world, the Christianity, the many other the religion in this world, people practicing different faith, but rebirth is something new. I'm sure any other faith believe in it. So what is rebirth? That you and me came before in this world, in which place we are born, who was our parent, what kind of work we did, what was our profession in our previous birth, who was our children, who was our friend, we don't know anything. And then After our this mortal body perishes, when time come, when time will be coming, our this human body will fall down, but that is not the end of the journey. What Bhagavad Gita preaching, that we will be coming back again. So in between, after this human body fall down till we come back, where we stay, how we stay, it is unknown to us. And also, if we come back, which home, who will be our parent, who will be our brothers, sisters, which country we are going to born again, what kind of work we're going to do again, that is also unknown to us. It's very mysterious. And you hear sometimes stories of the Jati Smara. Some people remember their past births, so they went to visit some places and they remember, oh, these are the known thing. And there are a couple of the movies also we can see, is being present to us in that kind of, with this story. So here Lord Krishna say, Sri Bhagavan Uvacho, Bahuni me vyatitani, Janmani tabo Arjuna. Oh Arjuna, you came to this world many times before you born as the son of the Kunti, Mother Kunti. Bahuni me vyatitani. You came many times. You me came many times. Even the Lord Krishna said that even he came before. Bahuni me vyatitani janmani tabo Arjuna. Tanyaham tani aham vedu sarvani. I know all this birth. So I know all this part. Tani tanyaham vedu sarvani. Veda means I know. Tani aham vedu sarvani. I'm just in between breaking these things. I'm taking to the again in the inside the Bharat Sevashram Sangh story, because that I work for Bharat Sevashram Sangh for last 45 years. So you could imagine that I stay in this monastery under the shelter of Acharya Swami Pranavanandaji Maharaj. I take my food here, I sleep here, I spend happiness and good days and bad days whatsoever in this monastery. And it is natural, there's throughout our body, our mind, our soul, our every incoming, outgoing breath is being mixed up with the Bharat Sevashram and Sri Sri Guru Maharaj, the founder of the Bharat Sevashram Sangh. So Guruji, we call Swami Pranavanandaji Maharaj as Guru Maharaj. So whenever I mention to Guru Maharaj, I mean to say Acharya Swami Pranavanandaji Maharaj, the great founder of Bharat Sevashram Sangh. So Guruji Maharaj many times mentioned to his disciples that do not try to hide anything to me, because I could see your past, I could see your present, and I could see your future at the nail of my thumb. He said that as soon as I put at my nail, I could see your past, where you were, which place you born, what you used to do. I could see your future also, and I could see your next birth also. And this is being told Guru Maharaj many places. And I wonder that what kind of mysterious or spiritual power or miraculous power Guruji had, that he could see our past, present, and future. I wish I could born that time and work with him directly, because I did not see him, because he took his mortal body. He left this mortal body in 1941. And we were born in 1956, so it's a long difference. We did not see him, but we met his direct disciples, many of them, when we joined the monastery. And they were like, when we see them, we used to go to Calcutta headquarters. You see Pujya Swami Sachidanandaji Maharaj, Pujya Swami Atmanandaji Maharaj, Pujya Swami Advaitanandaji Maharaj, Pujya Swami Pragyanandaji Maharaj, Pujya Swami Vikashan. All these are the direct disciples of Sri Guru Maharaj. Swami Purnandaji live in the West almost 40 years. These are the direct disciples, work with Swami Pranavanandaji. So I am bringing this example because we see here Lord Krishna say that Tani aham Vedu Sarvani. Arjuna, I know all the past birth you came to this world. Not one bit Parantapa. O Parantapa, O subjugator of your enemies, O subduer of your foes or the your opposition, you do not know anything. So why Lord Krishna know all our past birth, past action? Why we do not know? Because Arjuna was like us. Of course, Arjuna was not like us. He was little different because he was counted as the friend of Arjuna. So the different, because Lord Krishna knew everything because he is the God. Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. The Lord Krishna was none other than God himself. And we ordinary human being, we forgot what we did yesterday even. If we go back yesterday from morning to evening, what I did, maybe I forgot. Forget our past birth. The Maya, the illusion of the Mahamaya goddess Durga, it kind of curtain at our eyes, so we cannot see all these things. So we are the ordinary human being. We are not. It's not possible for us to remember all those things happen at this present birth and forget of the past birth. So this is how Lord Krishna say the preaching that Bahuni me Vyatitani Janmanito. So the philosophy of rebirth. This is one of the fundamental principles of the teachings of Bhagavad Gita. This is also a philosophy of Bhagavad Gita. That Bhagavad Gita is establishing this teaching, the rebirth. And I'm sure this will be different from the many other faith which people practice in this world. So rebirth, and because we have been reading Bhagavad Gita daily, because we have been practicing the teachings of Bhagavad Gita, because Indian people, especially Indian people, and those who follow the Bhagavad Gita, the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita, they have been reading every day, and this faith and this belief is being penetrated out deep into at our heart, and so we believe that we will be coming one day, in future again. So this is not the end of our journey. So now I'll be taking you to the verse number 6 of chapter 4. I'm just taking a little my time because it's so important verses are, and so beautiful also. And it's giving an opportunity to you, to me, to go a little bit deep into these teachings of the Bhagavad Gita. So please look at the verse number 6 of chapter 4. Om. Ajopi Shannavayatma Ajopi Shannavayatma Bhutanamishwaropi Shann Ajopi Shannavayatma Bhutanamishwaropi Shann Prakritim Swamadhisthaya Prakritim Swamadhisthaya Swambhavami Atmamayaya Ajopi Shannavayatma Ajopi Shannavayatma Om Namaha Sri Bhagavati Vasudevaya Sri Krishnaya Namo Namaha. Lord Krishna explaining to Arjuna about the mystery of rebirth. Aja, Lord Krishna say here, if you see the meaning, though I'm birthless, changeless, and the Lord of all beings, yet by mastering my own nature, I manifest myself by my supernatural power. Ajopi, Ajaha means birthless. We do not say that God take a birth. We call incarnation. That philosophy of incarnation also will be establishing in the chapter 4. So Lord Krishna said, though I am birthless, because everybody came out of God. This entire world, this entire planet Earth is nine planet of the Surya Narayan, and then there are beyond our planetary system, as we read in the book, the scientists discovering many other planetary system, many suns, and they have their own planets, and kind of so much thing when you go to the those study those books. NASA giving us so much information about those world. So here the whole everything in the universe, whatever we could think and whatever we cannot think, is everything came out of God. It is who he wish. He was alone and he became many. Ekam Shat, truth was alone. But then thought came to the mind of the God, Aham Bahushwami, I want to be many. And that's how it, like how leaves we see every the springtime, that's how this world is being grown. So Lord Krishna says, Ajopi, though I am birthless and changeless, I am immortal, I am the beginningless, I am the creator of everything, I am the very root of this creation. Abhayatma means deathless, changeless. The truth is changeless, and truth represents God. God is changeless. We change. We were very little, we used to go with the half pant, go to the school, walking bare feet. Then you go to the high school, you started to put the full pant, and then we understand we are naughty. Then you all finish your the education, you married, and you become parent. We become monk, and our appearance also change, our way of thoughts also change. So we look different now. We see things in a differently. Our expectation, our dream, our imagination, our thoughts also change. But here, Abhayatma, the God is changeless. Truth is changeless. So God is Ajaha, is birthless. God is Abhayatma, God is changeless. Bhutanam Ishwaropisham. Bhutanam, the creatures, the Lord of the entire creatures. So that is why I see the morning time, sometimes people coming to the ashram, they're leaving some kind of broken rice on the, when you see the fences at the ashram, the wooden fence, people leaving some, the broken rice. I think they leave that for bird and for the ant to eat. And so here, so God is not the God of the only human beings. Please don't think that way. So that is why animal torture need to be stopped immediately. Animal torture, because here Lord Krishna is telling, Bhutanam Ishwaropisham, I am the Lord, I am the Master, I am the Father, I am the Creator of the all creatures, everything. So torture to animals should be stopped immediately. Forget of the sacrifice in front of the gods and goddesses. And then he say, Prakritim Swamadhisthaya, I appear myself by my own Maya. We see that 22 incarnation of the Lord in Srimad Bhagavat Mahapuran. The last 31st August to 6th of September, those who came to ashram, you hear the Panditji, Pandit Sri Rajan Balgovind, who was commenting on the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavat Mahapuran, he mentioned the 22 incarnation of the Lord Vishnu. And among the 22, 12 was partial incarnation. 10 incarnation was the main incarnation. Dash Avatar, we call Dash Avatar. So in the Dash Avatar, first we see fish incarnation. Could imagine when you go to the Florida, I could see the people catching fish, because people, people catching fish to eat. When I went to the Bali, one time we went to Indonesia, to Bali Island, to I had lectured there for 3 days to Denpasar University there, and lots of students came to attend because somebody coming from India, Bali practice Hinduism, and Indonesia is the largest Muslim country nowadays, but Bali is almost 99% people practice Hinduism. So when somebody coming from India, a monk coming, so the university was, the hall was packed, and then we were speaking there about the Hinduism. So what do you see? One time we were looking for vegetarian food. We went to the ocean side. The people just, they're catching fish selling. So, but here we see in the Bhagavad Gita, in the Srimad Bhagavad Mahapuran, the Lord Vishnu incarnated as fish. Fish Matsya Avatar. It's like half man, half fish. If you remember those story that time, Mahapralaya was coming. It was time for the dissolution of the entire world. The ocean was swelling, looked like everything going inside the ocean. And that time, that fish, Rishi went to the ocean. I'm not going to that story now. So fish, big fish, and rishis took the seed of the new creation and stay in a boat. And that the hook of the boat was hooked with with the ear of the fish. And then when all cities, towns, human being, all the creation, mountains, hills, everything went into the water. That big fish was swimming in that endless water, saving the seed for the future creation. So that fish incarnation, how fish was incarnate, and the most two important incarnation of the Lord as Lord Rama, Lord Sri Krishna. So coming back to Sri Krishna's incarnation, if you see how Lord Krishna incarnated, he was born in the prison cell, and those who have opportunity must visit Mathura one time and see where Lord Krishna was born. You'll see under the ground a small prison cell, and his parent was captivated there. He born, and immediately he appeared as Lord Vishnu. How Lord Vishnu looked like? His body color was sky color, bluish color. He has 4 hands, and with the sail, with the spinning wheel, Sudarshan Chakra, and the mace and the lotus flower in his hand. Beautiful, heavenly. Is a God incarnated there. His parents were shocked to see Lord Vishnu. So that's why Lord Krishna say here, Prakritim Swamodhishtaya, I master my own Maya. I master my own nature, and I come to this world. To why I come, that will be learning in the next verse. So I take you to the next verse. Please, these 2 verses, verse number 7 and verse number 8 is very important. This will be establishing about the incarnation of the God. That is one of the philosophy of the Bhagavad Gita, like rebirth, immortality of the soul, and incarnation of the Supreme as a human being in this world. That is being proving in these 2 particular verses. So please go to the verse number 7, and many of the people know this verse, but I would like to read for you. Om Yada Yada Hi Dharmasya Glanir Bhavati Bharatah. Sanskrit itself is so beautiful. You don't need to read the English translation of these Sanskrit verses. Yada Yada Hi Dharmasya Glanir Bhavati Bharatah Obhutyanam adharmasyam Obhutyanam adharmasyam Tadatmanam srijamyaham. Om Namah Sri Bhagavate Vasudevaya Sri Krishnaya Namo Namaha. Bhagavan explained to Arjuna. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata. Obhuttanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham. O Arjuna, the descendant of King Bharata, whenever righteousness, spirituality, morality, and laws are insulted and destroyed, and unrighteousness, immortality, lawlessness rise up, I incarnate myself. So time of the background of the incarnation of the Lord is been given here. I read again, O Arjuna, the descendant of King Bharata, whenever righteousness, spirituality, morality, and laws are insulted and destroyed, and unrighteousness, immorality, lawlessness rise up, I incarnate myself. So, yada yada hi, whenever, dharmasya, dharma. So, I'd like to take you a little bit of the discussion of the word dharma. What we dharma rakshati rakshati. When you protect dharma, dharma give you protection. I repeat again, when you protecting dharma, dharma giving you protection. It's like you maintaining or practicing self-discipline, some self-discipline, and that self-discipline or practice or principle helping you to protect you from the danger of the greed, temptation, anger, illusion, and delusion. So here in this book, let me read for you that the meaning of the dharma, so that it will be easy for understand that what Lord Krishna wanted to say of dharma. Here, there's a scripture called Vaisheshika Dharma. Vaisheshika Darshan. Darshan is the philosophy. This is the scripture, Vaisheshik Nyaya Darshan, Vaisheshik Darshan. All these are the scriptures is produced and gave, our rishis and munis was created in Indian soil. So Vaisheshik Darshana was created by Rishi Kanad, K-A-N-A-D, Kanad is the name of the famous saint of the Mother India. So he created Vaisheshik Darshan, and in the Vaisheshik Darshan, Rishi Kanad gave the explanation of dharma this way. Jataha Bhudayaha Nisriyasaha Siddhihi Sadharmaha. Jato Bhudaya Nisriyasaha Siddhihi Swadharmaha. Rishi Kanad said, that which bring good to this world, that which opens the door for heaven for everybody, at the end which help people to attain emancipation is known as dharma. That means some kind of practice. If we practice some kind of principle which will be bringing good to all, which will be opening the door for heaven for us, which will also give the taste of divinity to us, is being known as dharma. And here, you heard the name of the Manu from me. We pronounce Monu, Monu or Manu. He gave this way the explanation, definition of dharma. What he says, itihi kshama damas astiyam shaucham indriya nigraha dhiri vidya satyam akrodha dasakam dharma lakshanam. I read again. Dhritihi kshama damo asteyam shaucham indriya nigraha dhi vidya satyam akrodho dasakam dharma lakshmanam. It was given by Manu. What is say? Dhritihi. Dhritihi is the patience. You could imagine, we lose patience. So patience is one of the best way to overcome lots of problems of our life. So patience, kshama. Kshama means forgiveness. He who know how to forgive can change the world. Get angry so much. We are so revengeful. I will teach him a lesson. I will teach her a lesson. So much, we get so angry. But forgiveness is one of the beauty of this world. Forgiveness brings lots of good to our individual life, our family life, our social life, and the life of our country, life to this world also. So, forgiveness. Dhamma, Indriya Sanjam, mastering or controlling the urges of our senses. The you feeling temptation to listen something which is not good for you. You feeling to see something which is not good for you. You're supposed not to see it. You feeling to taste something which is restricted for you. You feeling some touch which is not healthy for you. So this way to control the urges of the senses is called Indriya Sanjama. So practice of Indriya Sanjama, asteo, not to steal, even mentally, not to steal, because childhood days we did a lot of stealing here, there. But at least now we understand that thief or stealing is no good. Without asking the permission, taking permission from the place, we should not take nothing. If we take something without telling the owner or the place who is handling, is stealing. It's counted as stealing. So astya. Shaucham. Nowadays everywhere you go, even the ashram, I could see the ashram window, the sanitizer. That's a selling so much. Swamiji, where is sanitizer? Keep here on the table, in the temple, in the window side, everywhere. So people who are producing, they're selling and earning millions everywhere. Wash your hand 8 to 10 times. Anytime you go outside, wash your hand. But that is being taught long before, at the time of Manu, Shaucham. Not only outside you washing your inside too. We wash our hand and mouth and body with the soap or sanitizer whatsoever. But how we can do Shaucham, practice Shaucham, our mind? The japa, dhyana, meditation is very important in life. Meditation, japa, repeating or chanting quietly, silently the name of the name God, because the name of the God has been more powerful sometimes than God. Singing the glories of the Lord, pilgrimage, charity. So, and then Manaha Sanjam, controlling the restless of the mind. If you read the, what you call that, Yoga Vasishta, or no, Yoga Vasishta is the Patanjali Yoga Sutra. The first verse, Yogaha Chitta Vritti Niradham. People practice yoga to control their restlessness of the mind. Jnana, right understanding, clean understanding. I'll give you a small example. One time I went to Calcutta during the period of Maghi Purnima. Maghi Purnima is the holy birthday of Acharya Swami Pranavanandaji Maharaj. So we went flew from all the way from New Jersey to Calcutta. It took 24 to 30 hours to reach. And most of the senior monks are gone. Now the next generation monks are there. So I was thinking whom to go and sit down and listen some good word, because we came far distance land and we don't see them whole year. Whole year we are traveling outside. We live far away from the country. So I see Pujya Swami Buddhanandaji Maharaj. I don't know anybody saw here. Swami Buddhanandaji was the General Secretary of the Bharat Sevasram that time. I see he was sitting alone in his room. He was also aged. So I went to his room. Swami Buddhanandaji saw Guru Maharaj because he was a student of the Rajshahi student home in Bangladesh. At that time, Guru Maharaj visited that place. So they saw Guru Maharaj. He saw the Guru Maharaj. So I went to his room and bowed to him. And I said, Swamiji, today is such a holy day, such an auspicious day. And our mind is so hungry to get some spiritual knowledge and some guidance. We want to hear some good word. The festival is there, people attending festivals, they are taking prasadam, thousands of people are there. But please tell me something which I can nourish and learn and practice and apply in life. And Buddhanandaji, because he was very intelligent, that's why his name was given as Swami Buddhananda. So he told me that when problem arise, please listen, it's very important, it's practical, I'm not telling from the book. When problem arise, two people fighting, listen to the both side patiently. Listen to the both side patiently, but do not make any decision immediately. Take your time. Use your pragya buddhi. Use your knowledge. The knowledge we're talking now, jnanaha, wisdom. That is called pragya buddhi. Use your own pure knowledge, and then you make a decision. It was such a wonderful life. Swami Buddhananda ji gone, but I still remember those teaching. And then vidya, then practice of truth, and krodhinata, absence of anger. So what we see here, these 10 qualities is being counted as dharma. That was the teachings of the Manu. Manu given dhriti, kshama, damaha, astyam, shaucham, indriya nigraha, dhira vidya, satyam, aprada, dasakam, dharma lakshanam. And I'm concluding the definition of dharma by giving the example of Mahatma Gandhi. Mahatma Gandhi is being known as the the father of the modern Indian nation. And I hear in this country where we're living now, that where we embrace our land, our own land, the United States of America, this beautiful country. And we hear here Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Is followed the path of Mahatma Gandhi. We read that. And also we, as I go to South Africa for preaching, and we see the Dr. Nelson Mandela, you hear his name, is a well-known the freedom fighter who freed the South Africa from the apathy and all those problems. He just wanted that everybody should be treated as equal. So Dr. Nelson Mandela also practiced non-violence in his life, and also followed the footstep of Mahatma Gandhi. So Mahatma Gandhi, what he say of the dharma, what he say here, Ashtadasha Puraneshu Vyasasya Vachanadvayam Paropukaru Punnayo Papayo Parupidanam. Write it again. Ashtadasha Puraneshu Vyasasya Vachanadvayam. In the 18th Puran was created by Rishi Vyas. Rishi Vyas wrote 18 Purana. And among all these Puranas, Mahatma Gandhi said 2 words is the important. What is that 2 word? Paropokarayo punyayo. Papayo paropinayo. Helping others. Charity is counted as the dharma. And papayo parupidanam, and to giving pain to the other people, torture other people, is being counted as sin. It's like committing a crime. So we could see the elaborate or the details, meaning and the definition of the dharma. Here, Lord Krishna says in chapter 4, verse number 7, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati, when that dharma fall down, insulted, disobeyed the principles of dharma, Bharata, O Arjuna, Obhutyanam adharmasya, unrighteousness rise up. People practice lawlessness, they love the lawlessness. People practice untruth, injustice, lie. People are practicing immorality. People do not pay attention to the moral character. The morality of the people are falling down. To earn money or to gather land and building, people do not care to follow, commit crime, to torture others. And then if you have power in your hand and you are misusing your power, torturing your own people, neglecting the pain of other people, these are called adharma. So when unrighteousness rise up, obhutyanam adharmasya, Tadatmanam srijamaham. I incarnate me that time. And just quickly before I go to the next verse, I want to take you to the next verse and conclude today that time when Arjuna was living, the lawlessness, those who read the whole Mahabharata story, and they will be understanding that what kind of lawlessness was practiced those days. So it was a perfect background for Lord Krishna's coming to this world and eliminate all this lawlessness and crime and the bad people, evil people from this world. He did from his very childhood days at the Vrindavan, at the Mathura, at the Dwarka, at the Kurukshetra battleground. So let me take you to the next verse. The last verse, today's discourse, is one of the very beautiful the verse and very popular verse. And this is also proving that God incarnate to this world whenever needed. So please go to the verse number 8 of chapter 4. Paritranayo sadhuna vinashayo cha duskritam. Paritranayo sadhunam vinashayo cha duskritam. Dharma samsthapanarthaya shambhavami yuge yuge. Om Namaha Sri Bhagavate Vasudevaya Sri Krishnaya Namo Namaha. Lord Krishna tells Arjuna why he come to this world, to give protection to the wise and the noble souls, to destroy the wicked and the evil one, to re-establish righteousness and to fortify the eternal laws once again. I come age after age. Let me read again. To give protection to the wise and the noble souls, to destroy the wicked and the evil ones, to re-establish righteousness and to fortify the eternal laws once again. I come age after age. This is the last verse. Lord Krishna says, Paritranayo sadhunam. Sadhu does not mean that somebody like me wearing saffron dress live in the temple. No. There are sadhus everywhere in our home, our beautiful home. There are so many sadhu people living, men, women, all equally. So Paritranayo sadhunam, when people torture this noble soul, wise people in home or in ashram and wherever in society, to give protection to these wise people, vinashayo cha duskritam, and to destroy this wicked one, to evil one, the greedy one, dharma samsthapanarthaya, to re-establish righteousness again to this world, to bring back dharma again to this world. Shambhavami yuge yuge. Arjuna, I come age after age. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata obhutyanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham paritranayo sadhunam vinashayo cha duskritam dharma samsthapanarthaya shambhavami yuge yuge. Shambhavami yuge yuge. Shambhavami yuge yuge. Om Namaha Sri Bhagavate Vasudevaya Sri Krishnaya Namo Namaha. With this pranam to the lotus feet of Bhagavan Sri Krishna, we conclude our this discourse today in chapter 4. Thank you for joining me. Namaskar.